In this video, we are going to analyze why using all three main buffing commanders, including the new release Trian, is not going to give you a good result, and which are my conclusions on the commanders you should really use on the field to improve your fight capabilities. If you like analysis video where I tell you how and why specific commanders are more useful than others and when, please consider dropping a like and subscribe to the channel. It will really help me out a ton and it's totally free. You can always change your mind later. Said that, let's get into today's topic. Hello everyone, it's Wick Gaming here, and today we are going to speak about three commanders: Trian, Joan of Arc and Mulan. Before getting into the real tests, I want to make a couple premises, very important. Number one, this test is conducted in an ideal statistical scenario. What I mean with that is me and my friend Gambit here, who was so nice to join me in this project, have exactly the same buffs and statistics. That includes having the same technology, the same VIP level, no city skin, no individual buffs, no extra bonuses of any sort on the commander page, for example on the top left, and we are also out of alliance and we are using the same commanders to battle each other, which is a level 60 Dragon Lancer with 0 talents applied. Number 2, very important as well, is that we are conducting our tests with Tier 1 troops in the specific Tier 1 cavalry, because those tests might be extremely expensive on a resource and speed-ups standpoint, as you need to go through them several times. And what I noticed comparing to our Tier 5 testing is that the result is going to scale up. So any noticeable difference in the troop remaining for the opponent is going to be relevant on the actual battlefield. So we are making sure to point out throughout this video any relevant information during the course of the tests. So let's start by verifying together that everything between me and Gambit matches up, in a way that you can rely on the informations I am providing you, and you will also be able to replicate exactly what we are doing here if you want to. As you can see, our Dragon Lancers are battling right now and they are dealing the same exact amount of damage, both in the normal attacks and skill damage. I remember the normal attacks being the white numbers on the top of the commanders, and those are calculated by summing up the attack that the enemy deals on you, plus the counter-attack that you receive when you attack your enemy. In a perfectly equal scenario like this one, the attack is also equal to the counter-attack, as we will see later from the battle log. Of course, that's mainly the reason why we chose a commander like Dragon Lancer and zeroed all the talents. Dragon Lancer has no secondary effects among his skills, so he can be sure to obtain a clean report afterwards. As you may see on the screen, we are dying exactly at the same time, and looking at the report, except from the glitch that often happens and tells us that Gambit has still 1,000 troops remaining, which is not true of course, everything looks the same. We have the same amount of severely wounded units and the same amount of slightly wounded units. Let's now go straight into testing all the buffing commanders together. So, Gambit has both Mulan and Trian with the first skill maxed, which most of the players have or will obtain really soon in the game, and it's also already comparable to the fully maxed commanders. To be clear, during Osiris League Season 3, we in OV had some 5-5-1-1 Mulans in our murder balls, and it worked out very well. Gambit is attacking my Charles with Joan of Arc and Mulan secondary and another March including Trian. I am receiving no buffs at all, so we will compare the final results with our base test in which we had the same numbers and died at the same time. Looking at the final report, of course Gambit won. We can see that he ends up with about 28% more units remaining than me and inflicts me about 30% more severely wounded units than I do. That's of course because of the stat boost provided by both Joan of Arc and Mulan and the rage regeneration. The number of slightly wounded units may vary, not because there is RNG involved, because there is not. but because it depends on the moment in which the two Dragon Lancers start battling. If the buffing commanders were already battling and gained some rage, of course the active skill of the buffing commanders is going to be casted earlier, and Gambit's Dragon Lancer is going to activate his skills earlier consequently, and that little boost in the start will of course be scaled up by the end of the fight. Let's now test Joan of Arc and Mulan without Trian. Then we will go through the battle logs to discover if all the skills of the commanders stack up or not. Looking at the report, we can see that the result is extremely similar, even being a bit better on the test with Joan plus Mulan only, so without Trian. Why is that? I'm gonna explain it in a moment. First, let's read carefully Trian's first skill. It says that he's going to deal direct damage, blah blah blah, and that he's giving to nearby allied troops, so up to 5 marches as we know, a 25% bonus in skill damage for 3 seconds and 40 rage per second. However, damage is increased by 25% for 3 seconds. Now, of course, the increased damage will be taken by Trian only, otherwise it will be really stupid to trade 25% in skill damage in exchange of 25% of all damage received. Can you imagine that? But fortunately, it's not like that. Your allied troops are only gaining the benefits and no catch comes with that. Let's now go back to test again the 3 commanders together to discover if the skills all stack up. Let's speed up a second and then we open the battle log. As you can see, in turn 10 all the commanders' buffs line up together. We have Divine Revelation by Joan, Trian's Column by Trian and Filial Piety by Mulan. But if you look carefully, there is something missing. We have all the buffs, so statistics, skill damage, Joan's Rage Restoration, but we miss Trian's Rage Restoration. So that single part of the skill has been overwritten by the stronger one by Joan. But we are not convinced yet. Let's test Joan and Trian exclusively. That's what we are doing here, and as you can see, in turn 11, Trian's Rage Restoration does not show up. But maybe it's because Joan's skill came before? To test this theory, we invert the 2 commanders and have Trian's coming first. As you know, there is a break of 1 second between the cast of the active skill of the primary commander and the cast of the active skill of the secondary commander, and as Trian's active skill's effect is lasting for 3 seconds, it should line up just in time for when Joan of Arc is casting her skill. And as you can see, we have Trian casting the active skill on turn 9, where we see the 40 Rage Restoration, 1 turn of break in turn 10, and in turn 11, Trian's last effective turn, Joan casts her active skill and her Rage Restoration is going to overwrite Trian's Rage Restoration, confirming our theory that a stronger skill of the same category is not going to sum up. We have even tried to have Trian and Joan on 2 separate marches just because I want to be sure about what I say. So even if that's the case in your group fight, it's not going to make a difference. You can see that on turn 10, Joan is going to overlap Trian's and you are going to lose the Rage Restoration granted by Trian. But in the very first battle, where we used all 3 commanders, we made sure that Trian's active skill was ending before Joan and Mulan's skill came in. So why the result was the same or even a bit worse? Because too much rage as too less rage, it's going to conduct you nowhere. Overraging is a real problem. Just consider this. If you remove everything in a normal scenario like nothing applied, a commander is casting an active skill in 11 turns. You need 1000 rage, which is accumulated in the 10 previous turns, so we are talking about 100 rage per turn. And we are not taking into account other factors like skills, talents, being swarmed, which is going to increase your rage generation, then all the Joans on the field, maybe some Williams here and there, and some players even having the Horn of Fury equipped. If we consider all of this, with one single activation of the Horn during a cycle, which can even be considered unlucky, we will have between 300 and 500 rage bonus, and your commanders are not doing anything with it. If you over-rage, the result is that you are just sticking to 1000 rage until you cast the skill and you are not benefiting by all the rest. Remember my video on the legendary accessories where I've suggested to cast the Concealed Dagger before anything else, even before the Horde? Well, that's why. Most of the players are not rally or garrison leaders. And trust me, 99% of the time you are going to have fun battling on the field. That's why a debuffing accessory like the Concealed Dagger is going to give you more benefit than a Rage Restoration one, at least in the bigger picture. This is a team game and I want to treat it as such. So in conclusion, just ignore Trian and use Joan of Arc and Mulan, it's more than enough. I hope this video was helpful for you, it took a long time to prepare, so if you drop a like and subscribe to the channel, I will be extremely thankful. As always, I will see you on the next one. Ciao!